Hi guys, it's Miss Katie and it is Theater Talk on Tuesday, although it doesn't really feel like Tuesday because yesterday was Labor Day. Are y'all all in that funky place right now? Because I am. But it is in fact Tuesday, so we are back for another Theater Talk on Tuesday. Today we're talking about how to deal with disappointment in casting when you either don't get the role you want or don't get the role at all. So I have a few things that you can keep in mind when you don't get the role you want or don't get cast, are things that you can share with your kids to kind of give them a little pep talk to keep going. Because after all, this is a tough business and we do get rejected a lot. But we don't have to see it as rejection. I see each audition as a learning experience, and then it's an extra bonus if I book the role. So I kind of see it that way instead of being rejected, if you know what I mean. And for me, that kind of helps. So I actually have a lot of friends on Facebook that are acting and have been acting for a long time, or have kids that are acting, or directors, but are involved in the theater. So I actually went to Facebook and got some pointers from some friends as well. So these are just from a lot of people and put together, and I think there's some great tips. So one thing to keep in mind when you don't get the role you want or cast at all is that some things are out of our control. Sometimes we just don't look the part, or we're too short, or we're too tall. One example I like to use is when we did Cinderella, and we had ages 6 to 18 in this production. And we had one boy in the class, because you know the boy problem, right? Theater teachers. One boy, and he was 17. So 6-year-olds were kind of out for the role of Cinderella because we don't want to watch that. That's just creepy. So, I mean, there you go. There's an example of already being limited based just off of that alone. You could come in and be the most talented 6-year-old that's ever walked through our door, but you're not going to play a 17-year-old's love interest because nobody wants to see that. All right. You are going to get more no's than yeses. All right? You just got to get used to it. I actually was listening to a podcast the other day, a theater podcast, because I am that big of a theater nerd. And it was with a casting director, and they mentioned this book, which I just ordered, and I haven't started reading it yet, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I'm excited to read it. It's Confessions of a Casting Director by Jen Rudin. I would recommend it. Y'all should order it. I got it off of Amazon. There's even a section where she speaks out just to parents, and she covers theater auditions, film auditions, the whole thing. So she said on the podcast that this is like running a marathon. You don't just like get out there and book jobs. You have to run the marathon. So be ready for that. You're gonna get more no's than yeses. If you didn't get the role you want, look at it like, I know this is gonna sound so kumbaya hippie, but it just wasn't meant to be. All right? And the right role is coming. This sounds like my dating life, but you know what I'm saying. If you don't book the role you want, it wasn't meant to be. The right one is coming. So just let it go. All right, I really like this one because this is kind of how I like to deal with all things in life. And this was one that one of my friends mentioned. So I was like, yay, we think the same. She said that when her kids were upset about their roles, that she gave them 15 minutes to be as upset as they want, to say everything they want about the role or somebody that got the role they wanted. They could let it all out. After 15 minutes, they had to shake it off, and then they had to go and do the best job with the role that they were given. I love that because with all things in life, I think it's important to honor your feelings. So that 15 minutes gave them 15 minutes to feel exactly how they wanted to feel. And I think without letting yourself feel that way, it's hard to move on. So I really like that suggestion. Like, give them 15 minutes to let it all out. And then encourage them to be like, all right, your 15 minutes is done. Now let's rock this role. And then that kind of brings me to my next point is you're gonna rock this role, okay? You have to find the positives in the role you were given. Every role is essential to the story. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be in there, okay? So find what's special about this role. Also, sometimes when we get the role that we didn't necessarily want, we end up learning the most from it, all right? Casting directors are good at what they do. Directors are good at casting. They have a vision. You have to trust their vision. They are gonna put you in the role that you shine the most. Also, and here's an example of a time that I was put in a role I didn't want. I auditioned for Urinetown, and I wanted to be Little Sally, but I got cast as Pennywise. And if you're familiar with Urinetown, her song's kind of hard. And I was like, oh, I was a little terrified. I had mostly been trained, like almost predominantly, in a belt voice with very little training in a head voice. So I'm like, that is way out of my range. So I had to work with the music director on the show and do extra lessons. And I actually learned on that show how to tap into my head voice, and my range just went and expanded. So I wasn't really excited about that role when I got it, but I went ahead and I went forward and I did the best that I could with the role. But I learned something that has been so important to know in my career in musical theater. So there's a personal example of mine of when a role we don't necessarily want teaches us something that we will use over and over again. Okay, here's a message for your kids if you want to play it. Hey guys, it's Miss Katie. I am guessing that if you're watching this video that you didn't get the role you wanted. And I know, it's disappointing. Trust me, I've been there before like a million times. But here's the deal. You are now officially an actor, because without experiencing this disappointment, well, you're just not one yet, okay? So you have earned the actor's badge. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are an official actor. Now, here's the deal. I know that it's disappointing, but you're gonna get the role that you want in the future. So take this role and make it so awesome and learn everything that you can from this role, and things are just gonna look up moving forward. All right? Okay, I'll see you in class. So that's it, guys. I'm going to end on the common saying that we have in theater. There are no small roles, only small actors. We'll see you next Tuesday when we'll be talking to Luke, our music director. So if you have any questions for Luke, by the way, he shared with us yesterday, he's done 104 shows. He's like an amazing pianist. Like, he blows my mind. If you have any questions for Luke, our music director, please comment and we'll answer them for you next week. Have a great week. Bye.